If your TV is still under warranty, don't watch this video, just start a claim. But if your TV is out of warranty and you have a 2024 Samsung OLED TV with no power, then most likely you have a defective power supply. Today, I'm going to show you how to diagnose and fix it. A customer sent in their power supply for the QN77S90DAFXZA TV, and their complaint was that the TV would not power on at all, not even a standby light. So they opened up the TV, removed the back cover, and confirmed that the fuse was blown on the power supply. So let's confirm that, and I'll show you how you can do that as well. Using my multimeter in continuity mode, I get a beep when I test a good fuse, and I can also see I'm getting about 3 ohms or less. Now testing the fuse on the board itself, I have no beep and no reading. So that confirms the fuse is defective and we have a bad power supply that will need to be repaired. Now, why get the power supply repaired when you can replace it? Well, the replacement, just like the original, most likely will fail in the near future. With the repair, we get the opportunity to upgrade the failed components to higher quality ones that are less likely to fail in the future. We do actually have a few of these available for sale on our website, which come with 1, 2, and 5-year warranties, and I'll have links for those in the video description below. Okay, let's keep diagnosing to identify the failed components. Now, if we take a look at this component right here and flip the board over, and we'll notice the 3 legs for that component over here. Now, if I measure a working one, and I put my black lead on the center pin and my positive on the outer pins, I'll notice very high resistance, 0.423 mega ohms. So that's 420,000 ohms. If I put my lead to the other leg, it's actually completely open. It's such high resistance that my multimeter can't even detect it. Now let's do a similar reading with the component that's in circuit. Same thing, negative lead to center pin, positive to the outer pins, and I get 0 ohms. So that indicates a short. And another short on the other leg. If I go to continuity mode, I'll get a beep, which means I have a short, very low resistance. That confirms that transistor is defective and needs to be replaced. So we'll go ahead and unscrew it, flip the board back over, and we'll switch over to the microscope. Now, because the transistor is covered in silicone, we're going to have to remove that first. Now for the desoldering process, we're going to start by adding a little bit of solder, get some really good flow on all of the joints. Now, a lot of these pads are very, very thick. So we're actually going to be using a little bit of hot air to assist to preheat the board a little bit. And just to confirm, we are not desoldering with the hot air. The hot air is simply there just to preheat the pads. And now let's go ahead and desolder with our desolder wick. And to confirm we have properly desoldered the pins, we're going to give them a little push. Since they are freely moving, we know these 2 are properly desoldered, but we can clearly tell there's still a lot of solder left in there, so this one is not properly desoldered yet. Let's go ahead and give it a little bit more of an assist with the hot air. We're going to add a little bit more fresh solder, get really good flow again, and desolder with the wick. I'm having a really hard time with this joint specifically because of that crown in there. So for this last joint, because it's giving me a little bit of a hard time, what we're going to do is add a lot of solder. I'm going to flip the board over, and I'm going to grab it with my pliers, and while melting the solder from the back, I'm going to pull it through. There we go. And now that the component is out, it should be a lot easier to desolder that joint and remove all of that solder. Yep, look at that, there we go. For confirmation, same thing, black lead on the center pin, still getting a beep, and still getting a beep. So that is confirmed the transistor still has a short even out of circuit. So we'll notice that the back of this transistor and the back of our replacement don't have thermal paste. And if we look at the front, we'll notice a pad. Now that pad is old and I don't want to reuse it, so we're going to remove it and we're going to put a fresh new one instead, and we're going to put it directly on the transistor itself instead of the heatsink. So we'll go ahead and cover the replacement transistor. We'll cut off the excess. Remove the blue cover. cut out a hole for our screw. We'll go ahead and feed the screw partially through and then feed our replacement transistor and screw it into the heatsink. All right, we can flip the board over, solder our replacement transistor in. Cut off the excess. We're gonna add just a little bit of flux. Reflow the joints just for a second. Make sure we have really good flow, really good heat penetration into the joints and into the legs of the component, so we have a very strong bond. Quick cleanup, and we're all set. Let's do a final test. Do we have a short? We no longer have a short, and no longer have a short. And in our normal resistance mode, we are getting 70,000 ohms and 20 mega ohms. So that does confirm our shorts are gone. So now we can go ahead and replace the fuse. The legs of the fuse are right here and here. We're gonna employ the same technique. We're gonna add a little bit of solder first. Hang on the joint for a second, and now we can desolder. Same thing for this one. And actually I'm grabbing the fuse from the bottom and pulling it out. And I pulled it out of here, but it's still stuck in here. Let's go ahead and add a little bit of solder and flow, and there we go. Our fuse is out, but we still have solder in this joint. So let's go ahead and remove it. There we go. We'll go ahead and install our replacement. Let's go ahead and do some live testing now. And I just heard it click. So I'm gonna do some live voltage checks. I do not recommend that you actually do this at home because there's a high likelihood that you might A, injure yourself, or B, doing it incorrectly and make the board beyond repair. In DC mode, I'm going to very carefully put my negative lead on the negative leg of the capacitor and positive on the positive. And we are getting a very steady 400 volts. So that's good, that's what we wanna see. I'm gonna put my negative lead on one of these grounds. We're gonna check our A13 volts. And we're getting 12.79, so that's good. It looks like we have our V amp at pin number 5, 7, and 8. And we are getting our 18 volts there, so that's good. But I also want to check my VDRV, and we're going to check it from these jumpers here. And we're getting our 32 volts for our VDRV, which is also what we expect and want to see. So to me, that does confirm the power supply is fully functional and fixed. As I mentioned, if you want to send in your board for repair, we do offer the flat rate services, which come with a 1, 2, and 5-year warranty, as well as have the replacement boards available pre-refurbished, ready to go, but we do also have to require a core trade-in. Those do also come with the options of 1, 2, and 5-year warranties. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, if you found the video helpful or useful, leave us a like, subscribe for more content, and thank you for watching.